You don't have to celebrate Christmas in July, but you should be preparing for Christmas in July.
Welcome to the Steward Lab Podcast with our parents, James and Amberlee Rich. Join Mom and Dad as they explore how to be good stewards with your time, money, relationships, health, careers, and even your kids, like us. It's all about growing God's kingdom. Come on, let's experiment!
So we're going to tell you a story about the year that Christmas snuck up on us in the middle of July.
And before we even do that, if you are watching us on YouTube, you might be recognizing that James is wearing a pretty hideous sweater right now, because when it comes to Christmas time, you're supposed to wear an ugly sweater.
Yes, and this is short sleeve, so it's like a tank top. So it's like Christmas in July.
So if you have not seen it on YouTube, or if you just are like, I'm curious what they're talking about, go check that out. You can just search Steward Lab Podcast on YouTube and you will find it.
And I will say I tried coming in here without a shirt under this, so it was more like a tank top. I guess I'm only allowed to go so far.
We put the kibosh on that.
So why don't you tell them about the year that Christmas snuck up on us?
The reason why we ended up celebrating Christmas in July was because my brother was traveling and going to live overseas, and we wanted to create this gathering of Christmas to surprise my parents. So I talked with my siblings and we kind of came up with this little secretive plan where we created this Christmas in July, where we put up a little Christmas tree, decorated my sister's house, and tried to make it as Christmassy as we could in July. And then my parents walked in the door and were surprised that Christmas was happening.
Christmas has arrived in July.
Yes.
So Christmas doesn't always sneak up on us in a different month, but Christmas does always sneak up on us the same time every year. And that's because we forget about it. We have other priorities. We put money in other areas. And then when December hits the same time every year, Christmas comes around, we're surprised and we don't have enough funds to pay for Christmas. And then that kind of snowballs. Yes, that was intentional. Snowballs into us going into debt and the sort.
And that's part of it, is just not planning for it. And a lot of times we only think about Christmas when we see Christmas decor set up in different stores. If you've noticed, it always is coming sooner and sooner because these companies are wanting us to buy things earlier. And then we forget about what we've bought. So we keep on buying. And then when we see the collection, we're like, oh, now we've got to even things out, and it just becomes a bigger mess. And so it's really important to be intentional with Christmas and not wait for some company or some store to make you feel like, oh, I better get my act together and get ready for Christmas.
We've got a pretty crazy stat to share with you guys. In the U.S. in 2024 alone, during the holiday season, there was $994.1 billion spent on Christmas-like activities.
And yeah, all the Christmas
shopping.
stuff.
Yeah, that's almost a trillion with a T, $1 trillion spent in the US alone.
Yeah. And that's massive. And I think it's hard to comprehend when it's that big. But we also need to think about how much does the average American spend on Christmas? And so this is according to the National Retail Federation. Americans spend on average $902 each for Christmas.
Each. So if you're in a couple, you're probably going to be spending more than that.
Yeah, so that's definitely is going to add up.
Right. And so there's three things that we want you to do with this information. The first is we want you to really sit with and think about, how do I feel about Christmas? Think back to your last Christmas that you had. It's only been 6 months ago, and start thinking, how did you feel about that? Like, was it the experience that you wanted? Was the aftermath the experience that you wanted?
We see often with our clients that they feel, especially in the past, like that they overspent. They feel like money is tight during Christmas time. They feel the more comparison of like, well, my friends are giving their kids this, or feeling like, well, should I do Santa or not? My kids' friends got an iPad from Santa. If I just give them Monopoly, how does that compare? And there's just so much comparison, and there's so much that can rise up when we think about Christmas, especially when we talk about the financial side of it.
Here are some questions to reflect on when you're sitting there and thinking about how you feel about Christmas. Number one is, do you feel like money is always tight during the holiday season? Is that something that brings anxiety to you because you know as soon as December hits, you've got a lot of money going out and you don't have anything set aside? Does it feel restrictive for you?
Some people might feel like they want to spend more, and some people feel like I want to be spending less on Christmas. So think about that. Like, is the spending in alignment with what you want? And then when you look at your credit card statement in January, what comes to your mind? Are you like, how am I going to be able to pay this off?
Are you still excited about what happened during Christmas, or now are you dreading it?
And then are you able to pay off that credit card?
Right. And so once you take some time to really sit with how you feel about the way that Christmases have happened in the past, that's not where you stop. That's just the starting point. The next thing that you get to do is you get to think, what do I want Christmas to look and feel like?
Yeah. And I think it's important to think about, what are your priorities? What do you value? And your Christmas, like I said earlier, it's really easy to compare to other people and how they do Christmas. Stay in your lane. You don't have to worry about what other people are doing. How are you going to be able to create a Christmas that you and your family will love? What traditions do you want to say yes to? What are some things that happened this past year? They're like, those were not life-giving. What can you say no to?
Maybe you want to cut back on physical gifts that you're handing out that are under the tree and switch to something that's a little bit more experiential. We love giving our kids experiential gifts, such as going to the zoo, like not just one time, but an annual pass to the zoo, or an annual pass to
The botanical gardens or
yeah.
something like. Yeah. So I think it's important to think about, what are the things that you care about. If you're trying to declutter your house and you just buy a bunch of toys for your kids, you're undoing what you've done.
Yeah.
And so how can you further the things that you want your lifestyle to look like?
Especially for those of you that are newly married maybe, and you don't have kids yet, or you're just in the stages of having kids. Conversations can happen now before the kids get to a place where, are you going to have Santa or are you not going to have Santa? That was a conversation that we had to make, and I love the solution that we came up with, and we'll have to save that for another podcast episode. But have these conversations before you get to Christmas. Now would be a great time to start these conversations. What are we going to do in terms of Santa? What are we going to do in terms of gifts? What is the cost going to look like? How much are we willing to spend? And what are we willing to use our credit card for? Like putting parameters around that. We love helping our clients that use credit cards use it as a credit card and not a debt card, which means they use their credit card to earn points. They use their credit card to increase their credit score, but they never use it for debt, which just means they've got the money set aside. They use that as the payment method, and then they have the money and they pay it off right away.
And then the third point is to be proactive instead of being reactive. And I think that goes back to why so many people come to the Christmas season and they are last minute. They're buying gifts at the last second. They feel unprepared. They're trying to balance the gifts that they're giving to their kids, and they're having to add more, and they're just buying things a lot of times not on sale. All of this is from being reactive. Like if you're living in survival mode and you're just focusing on day to day, big things like Christmas sneak up on you. And so stepping back, especially now, we're in July, where we can step back, and we're 6 months away from Christmas. We have the time and the bandwidth to actually prepare for it.
Yeah.
And so instead of waiting till Thanksgiving and Black Friday to be like, ooh, this is the perfect time to buy for Christmas, what if we start preparing for that today?
Right. So start saving now, but also start looking at sales right now. Like literally next week is Prime Day. For those of you listening, this is 2025. Prime Day is July 8th through 11th. And so had you been saving up already for Christmas, you would have a sum of money that you could start buying gifts now. And the thing about buying gifts closer to Christmas is you have this added weight and anxiety of stress that you have to get this done. So you don't always find the best deal. But if you can start looking now, you can typically get better deals. You can get a better item for less money. That will allow your dollar to go farther. But it's only available to those that start at the beginning of the year putting money aside. Now, we're a little bit late for that for some of you. Some of you are already doing that, but those of you who aren't, what can we do? We've got to figure out how much money are you willing to spend in Christmas? You can look at all your bank statements from last January and see how much have you been spending if that's the way that you had typically purchased, and then figure out, are you going to spend the same or are you going to do something a little bit different? And then how many months away until Christmas, and divide it by that amount. So for this example, you would take that sum of money divided by 6 because Christmas is about 6 months away. It's actually less than that. Well, the month that it's in is less than that. And so you would take that amount, divide it by 6, and then that would be the amount that you want to start putting away into a little savings account. We call them savings buckets. You start putting that money aside so that you have the funds to spend on Christmas at Christmas.
Yes.
Or even before.
And the nice thing is that once you do that for this year, when it comes January, you're going to take that amount that you spend on Christmas and divide it by 12. So you have to save half the amount if you start in January. But if you wait till 3 months before, you're going to have to really up your savings to be able to afford what you want for Christmas. And so I think it's so important for us to step back, take a look, and be proactive versus being reactive.
So the question is, the experiment is, what are you going to do to be proactive for this coming Christmas? And what are you going to do to start now? You can't be proactive in December. You have to be proactive in July. In January would be a better time to be proactive, but now we're halfway through the year. Now is the time to start being proactive. So determine how much you want to save.
Yeah. And that's so good. And we have created Craft Your Christmas that walks you through not just the financial side of saving the right amount and really getting things really dialed in and organized with the financial side, but really how can you craft your Christmas to a Christmas that is life-giving for you and your family? What can you do to really make this be a wonderful Christ-centered experience for you and your household that is not draining you, but actually is giving you energy?
This little course that you put together came out of a time where we found Christmas was not really that fun for us. And so it wasn't just the financial side of it. It was also all these different things that we had to go to. We felt like we had to have that be part of our tradition because it's always been part of our tradition. You are the architect of your Christmas season. And so you can start planning that now. And you've got a bunch of great questions in there. We've got worksheets that will take you through the process of figuring out who you need to buy for, how much you want to pay, and all of that. We've had some incredible feedback. We've had people that have taken this course and they got back to us after that year's Christmas and they said, James, Amberlee, this was the most meaningful Christmas we have ever had. And it was because they cut out the waste and they focused and put their energy on the things that actually were important to them inside of their Christmas season.
I felt like I really needed to create this course because I recognized in myself that when I was a kid, my parents would make Christmas magical. And then as a parent myself, I'm like, we are the ones that have to make this such an amazing experience. And I put that pressure on myself to the point where I was exhausted and I wasn't enjoying it. And so I think it's really important for us to step back and determine what we want our Christmas to look like. And I've just heard over and over again that so many moms in particular have that same struggle. And I think it's so important for us to enjoy our time because we don't have tons of Christmases with our kids when they're little. Like, it's not something we want to mess around with. It's a great opportunity to really pay attention to that.
That's Craft Your Christmas. That is something that we sell on its own. But for those that are in Steward Lab, we're adding that as a free gift. So anybody that is in Steward Lab will have access to Craft Your Christmas. And you'll be able to go through and get all the worksheets and get all the questions. And it's great because it brings your family into it as well. You can go in and ask your kids, what did you like about last Christmas? What are some things that you don't really like? Start shaping the way that you Christmas for the next year.
This week's experiment is for you to determine how much you're going to be saving each month for Christmas. And determine how many months that is from now till Christmas and set that money aside so that way you are prepared.
Yeah, you don't have to celebrate Christmas in July, but you should be preparing for Christmas in July.
If you are last minute, you're going to be more stressed and you're going to be spending more.
Yeah. Imagine next Christmas, and we want you to imagine what you want it to be like. We want you to have a debt-free Christmas. We want it to be relaxed and meaningful, enjoyable, full of traditions and love and Christ-centered. We want you to be able to create a Christmas experience that is beneficial not just for your children, but also for all that are involved.
So if you would like to go through Craft Your Christmas, there's videos, there's a lot of activities that really just walk you through that process. That's available.
You can purchase that at stewardlab.com/Christmas. Or you can join Steward Lab and get that as a free gift.
If you haven't truly loved your Christmases and you just want to up-level what you are currently doing, experiment and try something new.
Well, that does it for our Christmas episode. For those of you that would like to give us a Christmas in July gift, we just ask that you push the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment if you're there as well, and like and review.
Yes.
Follow. All the things.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
So thank you. We appreciate that you are listening to this. Share this with a friend who really could use this as well, and your family members.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yes. Merry Christmas in July.